Hello, welcome to the most dangerous podcast. How are you this week, James?
I'm not feeling too good this week, to be honest.
What,
Got,
again?
again. I've got a pretty bad dose of the man flu.
Bloody hell.
So I do apologise in advance for any snottering and coughing in the background. But yeah, I know I'm not feeling great. And I know that a lot of people, they do listen to podcasts sort of in bed at night, maybe with falling asleep to a podcast. So if you hear any heavy breathing, it's not somebody looking through your bedroom window. It's probably me.
You looking through their bedroom window?
No, that's not what I meant. I meant in the podcast. Or do I?
Yeah, maybe. So I can't believe we're into February in 2024 already. It's flown by. I'm now starting my fifth diet this year. So that's
Fifth. It's only been 4 weeks into the year though. See, that's over a diet a week.
4 weeks, five diets, and I've put on a stone.
It's a good effort. That is a good effort. Yeah. So these diets, are these like specific diets, or like out of a book, or is it just something you're just like, oh, I just won't have sugar, or
just trying to eat? I eat too much shit. I actually eat quite healthy meals, but I'm on the road all the time, and you stop at petrol stations, and it's a bag of Monster Munch, and then it's like an extra 5p for 2 bags of Monster Munch. And
yeah, so you might as well get two. The big eats. What's your favourite crisp?
My favourite crisp? Oh God, I don't know. Possibly something like a Monster Munch, maybe.
Pickled on your Monster Munch, you can't go far wrong with them.
I like the flaming hot chili Doritos.
Yeah, Doritos. I'm not sure about that. I think so. Overrated, underrated crisps. Sorry, French fries, Walker's French fries.
Oh yeah. The ones that are not like chipsticks, like smooth.
Yeah.
I
think like they don't get enough credit, in my opinion.
I actually quite like even just the plain ready salted ones.
Yeah, they're right as well.
But no, I just feel hungry all the time. I am, honestly. I'm like eating everything. I remind myself of there was a boy in my school, Colin, and he was the greediest bastard I ever knew. I think his parents were like health freaks. They used to go to his house, say, "Do you want a biscuit?" and give you an oat cake. But like he knew what everyone had in their packed lunches. Yeah, at lunchtime, all you'd hear is him walk around and going to people, "Are you eating that? You're going to eat that? You're eating that club biscuit?" And he knew what everyone had in their sandwiches. I used to say, "Oh, here's Yalland. See if he's got something for you." Nah, he always has Marmite. I reckon. Do you remember You Bet?
Yeah, Matthew Kelly.
Matthew Kelly, yeah. God, I forgot it was him. I always get him confused with who was the one that was on the Record Breakers, the trumpet player.
It's Castle. Is it Roy Castle?
Roy Castle, yeah. But yeah, You Bet. I reckon Colin could go on You Bet, and you could pick 20 people from our school year, and he'd tell you what was on all their sandwiches. Definitely, 100%.
Well, it's talent. It's a skill. It's probably because he didn't have like biscuits and that at home. I guess he just like Just get some treats in the yard.
So we're on Australia, James.
We are on Australia. Before we start, I think we need to address the elephant in the room.
Go on.
Which is this is the second time that we're doing this pod. We had
Have we admitted that?
We are admitting it. We had a bit of we recorded the other day, and we had a bit of a technical issue, a malfunction. Yes. So if it does sound a bit disjointed or what have you, that's the reason. So apologies, but you can blame the software and not us.
Yeah, Podcastle. We usually give people a shout out.
I don't think you can't call them out.
I am, because we give people a shout out when they do good stuff. So why don't we give people a shout out when they fuck things up as well?
Because we don't know what the issue was, but it might not have been them. It might be us.
Yeah, but it might have been Podcastle.
Okay. So yeah, we are in Australia again. Running through our series. Yeah, it's my turn. You did drop bears last week, didn't you?
Well, we did, yes.
Did things that don't even exist, which is good. But
is yours real this week?
It's a real thing this week, yeah.
Definitely real. It's not going to be one of those kind of like mine where I strung you along for a bit and then you realise that it was just all bollocks.
No, there's plenty of dangerous things in Australia to talk about without going down the cryptid route. So, we mentioned at the very beginning of the series, there's loads of mad things in Australia. Your sharks, your jellyfish, your snakes, your alligators and crocodiles and all that. Well, actually, one of the most dangerous things in Australia is a tree.
A tree.
A tree, yes, and it goes by the silly name of the Gympie Gympie tree.
The Gympie Gympie tree.
Gympie
Is it
Gympie.
like a whomping willow? I mean, what's...
I'll explain in a second.
All right, then.
This Gympie Gympie tree, this is a fun fact for you. It's quite funny.
Go on.
So it's the common name Gympie Gympie.
Hmm.
It comes from the language of the indigenous Gubbi Gubbi people
The gubby gubby.
of the southeastern Queensland. Yeah, so the Gubbi Gubbi tribe named the Gympie Gympie tree. There's a song in there somewhere.
There is, yeah. It reminds me of... It sounds like a cartoon. Remember, like the gummy bears?
Yeah, or one of those things that you used to sing in primary school. You know, the ticky tacky thing. You know what I mean?
yeah. I know.
Anyway, this species occurs in or near rainforests. So if you think of Australia,
Mhm.
it's kind of divided into states, and on the northeastern side is Queensland, and then the southeastern side is New South Wales. So along that coast, from the tip of Queensland, it's called the Cape York Peninsula,
Right.
and that runs all the way down to the top of the New South Wales state.
Mhm.
Along that side is sort of a rainforesty,
Yeah.
and that's where you find this tree.
Right. It's incredible because I was reading recently that they say that Australia has actually got... You can see every bit of the world in Australia. It's got snowy mountains, it's got deserts, and it's got
Yeah,
beaches. It's got grassland. It's kind of got like a little bit of everything. And not until you just said it, let's be honest, last night when we first recorded it,
yeah,
did I realise that it actually had rainforests, like proper tropical
yeah. I
rainforests.
mean, it's a massive place, isn't it? And if you think about that sort of coastline up there,
Yeah.
that's quite near to, well, I say near, but relatively speaking, sort of Indonesia and Papua New Guinea and things like that. So, and that's all rainforesty. So it's kind of
yeah.
sort of up there. So yeah, there's sort of rainforesty bits. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's just a huge ecosystem, isn't it? And
Yeah.
I think it's been isolated for millions and millions of years, which is probably why you get these random species that are unlike any others on Earth.
It is. I mean, it is like a land of its own, really.
Mm.
It's something that's actually ran through my head while you were talking there. Is wonder why Australia does actually have so many dangerous things.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like I say, it's just because it's been isolated and there's been nothing to.
Yeah.
It's a good question. I don't know. Maybe some scientists can contact us and let us know.
Yes, there you go. That's our first request for an email.
Yeah. The Gympie Gympie tree, I'll be honest, it looks more like a bush shrub type thing.
Right.
It can grow quite tall, about 4 meters or so, but it's not a tree in the traditional sense of, like an oak tree or anything like that. It's more of shrubby. It's hard to describe the Gympie Gympie tree, really, if I'm honest. There's not really anything distinctive about it. No standout features. It doesn't have like orange leaves or like a weird pattern on it that would warn you that it's dangerous.
Yeah.
So if you're walking through the jungle, you if you didn't know what you were looking for, you wouldn't know it was harmful.
That's even more frightening, really.
Yeah. Because it is frightening because it has a crazy defense mechanism. This tree, which does make it very dangerous. I say tree. I'll call it a tree, but just think shrub, big shrub thing.
Right. Okay.
So it does. The plant itself has thousands and thousands of very fine brittle hairs all over it, and those hairs contain a potent neurotoxin. So if you think about, have you ever seen those videos of like a nettle in this country, like a close-up video where it shows you underneath the leaf there's loads of little needles,
Yeah.
and then if something touches it, those needles poke into the skin and break off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's the underside of the leaf on a nettle, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. So it's exactly the same. So it's just Australia's version of a nettle by the sounds of things.
So typical Australia, they do it a lot worse, just a lot more
10
dangerous.
times dangerous. Yeah.
Call that a spider.
yeah. If you see, even though you might come onto this in a later episode, but the house spiders.
Yeah.
You call them like dinner plate spiders because they're the size of dinner plates.
Oh, they're massive. Yeah.
But like they're harmless though. But they're just like your average house spider.
There's an old story Billy Connolly tells where he lived in Australia for a long time because his wife, well, she's from New Zealand, but they lived in Australia, and he said he walked into the living room, and vertical blinds are about 4 inches wide.
Yeah.
He said he saw one on one of the slats, but it was on the other side, and he just saw its legs coming round either side of the slats. It was so big, and he said he just froze. He went, Pamela, Pamela, and she walked in, and she was like, "What is it?" He goes, "Fucking that, big spider." And he said, casual as you like, she walked up, picked it up, opened the window, and chucked it out.
And threw it out.
Yeah.
Just get used to it, I suppose.
She was just like, big Jessie.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I read some story somewhere that some guy had one in his house.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Well, it's like my pet, just lives in the corner and it gets rid of all the bugs and stuff." And
Mm-hmm.
like, they're so big, they can sometimes they'll take down mice. There's a video doing the rounds actually. I don't know if you've seen it, where there's one of these big dinner plate spider things. It's just dragging a mouse across the kitchen surface. Like, yeah.
I wonder if you can hear them running across the floor.
You probably could, yeah. Like, yeah, but you just get used to it, I guess. Anyway, that's my off point.
Mm-hmm.
So as I say, it's a big bush plant type thing, like a nettle. Think nettle, but bigger and horrible.
Yeah, sounds lovely.
So the little hairs, again, they're like hypodermic needles. That's how sharp they are. So if you were to brush past the bush, the hairs sort of dig into your skin, break off, and then this neurotoxin gets released into your bloodstream, I suppose.
Yeah.
Similar to a nettle. With the hairs being so fine, you can't really see them. They're just really difficult to get out. So I did read there's a way, what people do if they get stung by them, like natives, they'll rub mud on the sting area, and then the mud will dry, and then they can rip the sort of mud off, like a face pack type thing.
Yeah, so like those kind of, the things that you get to pull your blackheads out.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's like, but that doesn't always work. It's just
fair enough.
And with the needles being so fine, that people say that they'll get stung, and the pain will just last for weeks, months, sometimes even years, because they just can't get rid of these needles.
So do the needles constantly, over time, just leak out little bits of this toxin, or is it just the irritation from the needles stuck in you?
I guess it's just the irritation for the needles. Yeah, I guess at some point the toxin must wear off, but then it's just kind of like that. Like having a splinter. You ever had a splinter?
Yeah, like
you can feel it under your skin, but you can't really see it. I guess it'd be like that.
A big splinter's better than a little one. I had a tiny little one. I couldn't really see it. Every time I rubbed over that bit of skin, it was dead sore.
Yeah.
It was so fine, I couldn't really see it.
So I'm guessing. Yeah, I suppose.
Like having 1 million of them with neurotoxins in them.
Yeah. Well, the neurotoxin probably runs out, but you still feel the little shards.
I wonder why a plant needs that.
Some animals do eat them.
Yeah,
like in the bush, so they are edible.
Mm-hmm.
Like the plant needs it, I suppose, to stop animals eating it, but then animals adapt to get over it.
Yeah,
so it's like a kind of race, isn't it? That's
it. Who evolves better, faster? Yeah. I read somewhere that holly bushes.
No, what are
they? Like a holly.
Holly. Oh, right.
Holly. Yeah.
Holly, yeah.
Holly trees and bushes. Apparently, when they grow quite tall, the leaves on the top are just round because it knows that it doesn't need to have spiky leaves because it's only the ones down near the ground that animals try and eat.
Yeah. So there you go.
It shows you how clever nature is.
Absolutely. Well, the Gympie Gympie tree, it can sting you while it's alive, and it can also sting you when it's dead.
Oh, that's good.
So, the needles, the tiny hairs, remain on the plant after it's died. So if you see one of these plants sort of brown and shriveled on the forest floor and you touch it, you'll still the little sort of shards will still be there on the leaves. So you'll still get stung by it, and the neurotoxin remains in those little sort of glass, not glass, but you know what I mean. They look like glass.
Yeah.
Because been like scientists were studying them, and they have been for years. And they'd sort of go to their store cupboard, and there'd be like a dead one of these in there. They go, right, let's look at this, pick it up, and then they just got stung all over their hands. There's been reports of people in museums as well. There'll be a display on, and they'll have one of these displayed, and then someone will touch it, and it's like, shit, I've been stung.
Fuck no.
I did see a video actually of one scientist saying that even after 100 years. The plant, if the plant was still there, I suppose like the leaves would probably rot a little bit and stuff after 100 years, but the toxins would still be present. So you could still be potentially stung if there's any remaining part of the plant
Yeah,
after
yeah.
that amount of time. You could still be stung.
Okay, no. Do you know? I saw again the wonders of nature. I saw uh, the thinnest hypodermic needle that they've made under a microscope next to a bee's sting,
Yeah,
and the needle had all these imperfections and stuff in it, and the bee sting was perfectly smooth. And it's like, I bet these needles are like, like you said like, like a syringe, like a
yeah, just
needle,
a perfect
bet they're
needle. Yeah.
perfect and so fine that you probably wouldn't even feel them going in. It's then the
Mm.
toxins and the
Yeah, it's the
irritation.
afterwards. It probably takes a few seconds or so
Yeah, yeah.
for the realization to kick in.
Oh,
So I guess that leads on to the next point.
go on.
So what's it actually feel like to be stung by one of these things?
Are we
So,
going to try it, or
yeah, I've got some here.
yeah.
No.
Are we going to leave it to? Have you seen that nutcase? That guy, Coyote Peterson.
I did watch a guy. So I'm not sure if it's the same guy. So
Mhm.
when I was doing research for this, there's a couple of people, a couple of idiots that do it, don't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Like people go around and get deliberately stung by insects and things
Aye.
to measure the pain. And there was a few people I'd seen online that had been stung by this, and
Right.
I don't know if it was Coyote Peterson. Sounds
He's
like
always
yeah.
sitting at a school desk in the middle of a jungle with something in a jar and a pair of tweezers, and he like pulls it out and then starts like rubbing on his arm till it stings him.
Yeah, like irritating it until
Yeah.
it kind of winds it up so much that it stings him. It may be.
Then
The guy I saw, he had like an Indiana Jones hat and like
that's him. Yeah.
khaki
He
outfit.
gets stung, moans like fuck about it for about 15 minutes, and then that's his video.
Yeah. I mean, fair play to him. I mean, it'd
Yeah.
be pretty hard, like, to do that. I reckon.
It's got to
I
be a
wouldn't.
kind of pervy thing, that though, isn't it? Wanting to do that.
So yeah,
It's a bit weird.
it is very weird. Very
Yeah.
weird. The first reports of the stinging of this plant was by a chap called A.C. Macmillan back in
Right.
1866. And he was a North Queensland road surveyor.
Mhm.
He was one of the first to document it. He said that his pack horse got stung
Mhm.
by one of these plants and it went mad.
Bloody hell.
It died within 2 hours of being stung.
Shit.
There's also local folklore tales about horses getting stung and being in so much pain they just jump off cliffs.
Okay, now, like suicidal, or
I don't think animals like have the capacity to think like that. I don't think like you get like a sad horse. Well, you might do, but I don't think it's like, oh, I want to end it all. I think it's just they're in just such shock and such panic they've just bolted and then just gone over the side of a cliff or something.
running like fuck.
Yeah.
I'm sure in like America, in like Monument Valley and all these places, I'm sure there's times where like stampedes of buffaloes have just gone over.
Yeah.
Canyons
Like
and stuff
lemmings
like
as well. They do it, don't they? They just kind of walk. So yeah, I think they've just kind of got like run around in circles for about 5 minutes, then just gone off the side of it because it hurts so much. Yeah. It's been described. The pain has been described as being on fire and electrocuted. So that's good.
Right. Yeah.
Or being on fire and having acid thrown or poured onto the stinging spot, the stinging site.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah. So not very pleasant at all.
No.
One guy, I did read this one guy, he described the pain as being stung by all the wasps. But that was quite good.
All of the wasps in the world.
Yeah, I guess so. All of them.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, so it's not just that. So you got your sting site, that's intense pain, and then also your lymph nodes start swelling up in your armpits, your groin area, under your chin and your neck.
Yeah.
So yes, it's pretty painful. It doesn't contain enough toxin to actually kill a healthy grown adult.
Right.
But it does have knock-on effects which have known to cause death.
Right.
With reports of people being in so much pain they just ended their lives, they just killed themselves.
Bloody hell, just like the pain and anguish of...
Yeah, they just can't cope with it. Yeah, so they just ended it. Also reports of people having heart attacks because they were screaming so much. And also people have known to scratch their skin off because they've been in so much pain.
Apparently, I've heard that the stonefish is supposed to be the worst pain known to man.
Yeah, I've heard that's up there, definitely.
I don't know how they gauged it, whether they got someone like Coyote Peterson to go around and stand on a stonefish and then get a bullet ant and then rub the Gympie Gympie plant and say, right, which one was worse?
I think there is a scientific study. Me and my daughter were watching this program that was on, like, I don't know, Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because Discovery used to be quite interesting. Now it's just kind of like reality TV, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, like, there's two guys and they go around and they're sort of logging how painful each animal sting is or bite or what have you. Now they're basing it off an older scientific text, which I can't remember the name of, but essentially there is some science book somewhere that rates and ranks like how painful each bite and sting is.
Bloody hell. Like a ow fuck meter.
Yeah, like a logbook, and they don't just go that was really painful. Like sort of base it on like the duration, like the overall pain, the duration, the damage it's done to the spot.
Probably take into account heart rate and blood pressure and all that after it, and
it's pretty scientific. It's as scientific as it can be, I suppose. They've got doctors there and stuff like that.
So did they just drag one simple fellow around and say, right, touch that now?
No, it's them. It's the two of them that do it. They're kind of, they are. One of them's a doctor, I'm sure. So it's not just like some buzzer like off the internet. I think they are doing it in the name of science, I think. And the other one's like an explorer type guy. So, I guess that's how they gauge. That's the only way you can do it, I suppose, isn't it? But then saying that, though, like people have different threshold levels, don't they, for pain?
Yeah.
So it's difficult to gauge, I would have thought.
True.
So there have been some reports, or quite a few reports, of people being stung by the Gympie Gympie tree.
Okay.
I've got a few here that we'll run through. In 1994, Australian ex-serviceman Cyril Bromley described falling into a stinging tree, or a Gympie Gympie tree, during military training in World War II.
Gutted.
Yeah, he said he was strapped to a hospital bed for 3 weeks. He was administered with all manner of unsuccessful treatments, and he was sent as mad as a cut snake, he said, because of the pain. It's quite a nice term, isn't it?
As mad as a cut snake.
Yeah. So he was just sort of like writhing in the bed, like strapped down.
I suppose so, yeah.
Yeah. There's also Cyril Bromley also told of a story. I don't know how true this is, right? But he said there was an army officer, who actually shot himself, and the reason being is they were doing a military exercise, and he just said, "Right, hang on, lads, I'm just going to the toilet. Won't be a sec." I went into the bush and did his business. Reached for something to wipe his ass with, and apparently he wiped his ass with one of these leaves. Now I don't know how true this is, because I think that if you grabbed one of those leaves, it would probably start stinging your hand before it reached your ass. Maybe you sat down in the tree, but you don't do that though, do you?
Yeah.
Like you
can't have gloves on.
Yeah, maybe. So there might be some truth in it. But anyway, apparently this guy was found with his trousers around his ankles and a bullet in his head.
That reminds me of a time. My dad had he always had bowel issues. Not that he had actual bowel problems. He was just a bad shitter. He was always, you remember, my dad would go to the toilet for about 2 days and come out and the whole house would be humming. Yeah. And because he seemed to go to the toilet quite a lot, he bought like moist wipes because his toilet paper chafed his arse because he was using it so much.
Oh, God.
And one night for a laugh, I took out all his moist wipes out of the packet, and I took a packet of flash wipes with bleach and I swapped them round. And he'd been up, we were all sitting watching like Casualty on a Saturday night, and he'd been up and had a shit. And they came down, it took a few minutes, he started like you see him like wriggling a little bit. And like just fidgeting and stuff. And all of a sudden he goes, "Fucking hell, Eleanor, my arse is stinging." What have you done to my arse wipes?
Did he find out it was you?
I had to tell him.
Like he was he was worried. Like, oh no, what's going on?
I know. I thought, God, it's one of those pranks though. Like putting a bit of chili in the toilet paper. It's fine if someone wipes your arse, but if like your wife or daughter goes and has a pee,
it's probably not worth messing about with stuff like that, is it?
Yeah, there's too many women in this house. Much worse scenario.
Yeah. So moving on, another chap. Where are we? Ernie Ryder.
Ernie.
He's been stung loads of times, apparently.
Yeah.
But he says he'll never forget the day in 1963 that he was slapped in the face, arms, and chests by the Gympie Gympie tree.
Yes.
So it's one of those. I think he was probably walking through the shrub, and then it just went whoosh, slapped you right in the face.
Got it.
Yeah.
All the trees.
So bent back. He's probably like some guy in front of him. Bent it back, with gloves on or whatever, and then it just.
One of my pet hates is when you ever walk through a cobweb.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, I hate that. It gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
But he said, this Mr. Ryder, he said, I remember it feeling like there were giant hands trying to squash my chest.
Oh.
He said, that's how I feel now. He said, for 2 or 3 days, the pain was almost unbearable.
Yeah.
I couldn't work, sleep, and then it was pretty bad pain for another fortnight or so. He said the stinging persisted for 2 years.
2 years?
And every time he had a cold shower, he'd start getting the pain would reoccur forever. So the pain was there for 2 years. Yeah. Even after those 2 years, if you had a cold shower, the pain would start up again. Mr. Ryder, Ernie Ryder, he's now a senior conservation officer with Queensland Park and Wildlife Service.
Wow.
He said during his 44 years of working in the bush, he's never experienced pain like it.
Yeah.
And to quote, there's nothing to rival it. It's 10 times worse than anything else. Gympie trees are a real present danger.
Bloody hell.
So this guy clearly knows what he's talking about. So,
how did you get a job like that? 44 years of working in the bush.
Yeah, I guess like some people just naturally fall into these type of jobs. You get people who kind of live in a forest or like near a forest. Like, their dad's kind of like a farmer stroke hunter. He's like, come on, son, let's go into the bush and see what we can find. And then they just do that and develop over years. And
brought up that way, yeah.
Yeah, and you get to know the local area and you get to know the local wildlife and stuff. So I guess it's one of those, by the sounds of things.
I was watching a thing on the news and a guy came on and it said, it always tells you their name and underneath what they do. And it said garlic bread expert.
Oh, fuck off.
How's that a job?
Not even a thing, is it? It's just
a garlic bread expert.
That there. Yeah, it's stupid.
I wouldn't tell anyone. What'd you do? I'm a bin man.
Stink the whole time.
Yeah. It'd be all right if there was a vampire outbreak.
Yeah. That's not even true. They've just put that on there to
possibly, yeah.
I reckon.
Inflatable doll tester.
Okay, another guy. We've got Les Moore. He was so swollen. He said that after being stung across the face, he resembled Mr. Potato Head. So, I don't know if he still does. Hopefully not.
Do you know the comedian Steve Harvey? American guy. He's black, bald. He does like family fortunes.
I see this as well. Yeah. Well, people have done like mock-up potato head of him.
If you do something to him, like put his head upside down, he looks like Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah, I've seen that. But like people were sending it around, like to him.
Yeah. He got dead pissed off about it. He's like, look, guys, I know I look like Mr. Potato Head, but you don't need to keep reminding me. He was on my honeymoon.
Was he? What?
Yeah. 3 days into the marriage, we're experimenting. No, he was in the hotel. Like every morning when we went down to breakfast, he'd be sitting there with all his big, entourage and stuff like that.
Oh, for real? And you were going, Mr. Potato Head. Oh,
yeah, we weren't brave enough to go and say, can we say hello and get a picture? But also, he didn't mean that much to me. There's very few celebrities that I would actually go out my way to go and see.
Oh yeah, I don't like doing that. I don't think I've ever done it. I just think, well, they're just getting on with stuff, aren't they?
There's like 2 or 3 that I don't think I could miss the opportunity. Like if I bumped into Billy Connolly, I'd have to go and try and get a picture with him, or Ali McCoist, But that's about it,
Yeah, I don't think there's many that I would do.
Yeah.
Right. We're still on Les Moore's Mr. Potato Head here.
Okay, Mr. Potato Head.
He said I think this is a quote. I think I went into anaphylactic shock and it took days for my sight to recover. So he got slapped in the face with a Gympie Gympie tree. Yeah. His head swelled up like Mr. Potato Head. And then he went into anaphylactic shock and he couldn't see.
Okay, and he couldn't just swap his eyes out or anything, no.
Good one, yeah, that's good. That's good for you.
Yeah, I had overnight to practice it.
He said, within minutes, the initial stinging and burning intensified, and the pain in my eyes were like someone had poured acid in them.
Bloody hell.
My mouth and tongue swelled up so much I had trouble breathing.
Yeah.
It was, and this is this word again, debilitating. It was debilitating, and I had to blunder my way out of the bush. So there we go. We've all been there.
Yeah. Blundering our way back out of the bush.
And then just one last little story. This comes from Alan Seawright. He's a professor of pathology in the University of Queensland. And he was contacted in 1968 by a part of the British Army called the Criminal Defence Establishment.
Right.
And they were asking for samples of this Gympie Gympie tree. Now, as the name suggests, and I think we can kind of sort of figure it out, they specialised in developing sort of chemical weapons. So he came to the conclusion the reason they were asking for these samples is they wanted to develop a weapon based on the neurotoxins on or in the Gympie Gympie tree.
Bloody hell. It's like a bomb that goes off and drops all these little hairs over.
Yeah, or a gas or something like that.
Yeah.
So, it's obviously, I don't think one's ever been developed, but it seems like it was certainly being looked into.
Probably for the best.
Yeah. It does, the tree, I mean, I'll just, one last thing, the tree itself, it does have fruit on it.
Right, okay.
And the fruit is edible.
Right.
I don't know, like, you have to, as long as you get all the little hairs off it, you can eat it. I don't know if it tastes any good or if it's nice, but
yeah, it'd have to be pretty good. I mean, we talked recently about fugu.
yeah,
and it's like it's so difficult to get the little bit that you can eat with all
that's
this.
it. Why bother? Just have an orange or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Apples are lovely.
Yeah, you don't need to. It's not worth the risk, is it?
When I go exotic, get a passion fruit.
Yeah,
which is like eating frog spawn.
I don't think I've had one of them.
Oh,
I've had the juice. The juice is quite nice.
Is it passion fruit? What's
No,
the one?
Dragon fruit, I think you're thinking of.
Dragon fruit. There's one that is just little seeds with like jelly round them.
Yeah, so the dragon fruit is like a red sort of bulb type thing.
Yeah.
And then it's white flesh inside with loads of little black seeds.
Might be that. It's just like fucking frog spawn.
It looks like it.
Yeah.
Anyway, right, just one final point before I go back to bed.
Okay.
So in November 2022,
Mm-hmm.
there was a British man called Daniel Emlyn Jones.
Right.
He's an online tutor from Oxford. He decided to cultivate his own. So this is Oxford, UK.
Yeah.
Decided to cultivate and grow his own Gympie Gympie tree in his garden.
What a knob.
What a dickhead. Like, there's no point. Like, we don't want that here.
No.
And if it can live in his garden, then it can live here, by the sounds of things. I don't think he had any special lamps or anything like that. So, and when you do that, there's always a risk, like plants and stuff. And, you know, the pollen gets transferred and the seeds get transferred really easily through like animals and bees and other species. So there's always going to be a risk then that Gympie Gympie tree now goes and grows somewhere else in the nearby local forest and stuff, and just pack it in.
Yeah.
If you want to go and see one of them, go over to Australia and have a look over there. Don't grow it here.
It's not needed.
It's not needed. We've got nettles. They're fine.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got nettles. Good old British nettles. That's been really, really interesting, James.
Well, thank you.
Gympie tree.
For the second time running. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was the second time round as much as you did the first.
I did, yeah. I'll need to enjoy it 2 or 3 more times now before tomorrow night at 7:30 when I try and edit this.
Yeah, there's no rush.
Yeah,
we'll just might be a bit late this week.
Yeah,
for technical reasons.
Technical reasons. Podcastle fucked us. That's the third one. I better take that out. Just for legal reasons, it could have been my laptop.
I said that, didn't I? I said you can't be calling them out.
I know. I had a message off Bear Plays yesterday.
Did you? How's he doing?
Yeah.
He's wearing me bloody t-shirt.
Yeah. They gave me his address.
Oh, sweet. Right, okay.
Which I'm not going to obviously say now. No. But See what I had a worrying situation because the night that podcast went out, I messaged him saying, "How did you find it?" And he says, "I've listened to the first 20 minutes, really liked it. We'll listen to the rest later." And then I didn't hear of him for 3 weeks.
And
I thought,
unsubscribed.
yeah, shit,
I
what
think
has happened?
lawyers on knocking on your door.
That's it. Then out of the blue, I got, send the t-shirt here, please.
Yeah, quickly, so
Yeah,
I never need to speak to you again.
that's it. So, we shout out to Bear.
Cheers, Bear. Thanks for your support.
Aye.
We do appreciate it.
So we are still taking requests. I mean, we're doing this Australia for another few weeks, but we're looking for new ideas for up and coming podcasts. So yeah, send us in your ideas. It's always great to hear from you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we've discussed between the first recording of this last night and the second recording of this tonight, we might add another wee feature that you can get involved in as well. So that might come in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, in development. Watch this
Yes.
space.
Yeah, we're developing all the time. We're a new podcast. We're loving doing it, and I think we're getting better all the time. So it's
And likewise, if there's anything that you want us to talk about or anything that you want to add in or any suggestions in terms of the structure of the podcast, by all means, we're all ears.
All ears. We want to make it better for you, you're the listeners.
That's it. Right, I'm off to bed to sleep off this horrible illness.
Well, thanks for that, James. I appreciate you doing it for a second time because I know it was hard enough the first time.
Cheers, mate.
That's been the most dangerous podcast, the Gympie Gympie tree from the Hubba Bubba tribe. What was it? The Gubba Gubba tribe.
I can't remember now.
Gubby Gubby.
Gubby Gubby. Gympie Gympie from the Gubby Gubby.
The Gympie Gympie tree from the Gubby Gubby. It's the most dangerous podcast. Thanks, James. Good night.
Good night.
See you soon. Bye-bye.